In this video, I'll share exactly how I got 97% in my A-level maths. If you're new here, my name is Hassan and I'm a third year medical student studying in London. Maths seems like one of them subjects where either you get it or you don't. But I can tell you that this isn't true. Maths has so many small rules to remember and to put together when answering different questions. So a strong foundation is necessary when it comes to maths. The best thing about maths is it makes sense. It has a set of rules that doesn't change, and oftentimes exams will have the same questions just with different numbers. My advice is approach maths with a curious mind. When you're learning it in class, if you don't understand why or how you go from step 2 to step 3, then ask and find out. Otherwise, the rest of this question will be a write-off for you and it'll never make sense. If you don't have a solid foundation, then it will be a steep learning curve at the start. But once you have that foundation down, that's when it starts to click and learning new topics becomes much easier, as it's usually just building on older topics and rules that you're already solid on. So although it is a steep learning curve to start with, stick with it as it will get easier. My advice is start from the beginning and make notes. The way I made notes was I wrote the topic down, then within the topic there is subtopic. For example, within differentiation, there's the chain rule. I first wrote down how to do this step by step using letters instead of numbers, so like a formula. Then beside it, I wrote out a real example with numbers. By doing this, it meant that I understood what happens at each step. And if I came across a step that I didn't understand, then I would ask my friends or teachers to explain it, or I'd watch videos like Khan Academy, which explains it really well. Once you've made notes for a certain topic, then just do as many questions as you can for that topic. Keep practicing to the point where you can do it well within the mark a minute rule and almost without thinking. When you start, you might have to refer back to your notes, but as you do more and more questions, you'll be answering them without your notes and you'll become a lot more fluent with answering questions in that topic. As you do more and more topics, you'll be able to do practice papers, and this is the best way to revise for maths. I recommend doing all the practice papers for your specification at least twice by the time exams come around. With maths, we're talking volume. As you're exposed to more questions, you'll understand the different nuances associated with each of them and be able to adjust for these in your answers. By this I mean some questions may have a 2x instead of a single x, and this means you'll have to answer the question slightly differently than normal. As you're exposed to a higher volume of questions, you'll become exposed to the different scenarios that will happen within each topic, and you won't be caught off guard when it comes to the exam. My exam advice is not all marks are equal, and by this I mean some marks will be a lot easier to get than others. My advice is once you sit down, do a run through the paper and answer all the easiest questions, the ones you definitely know the answer to and will take you the least time to do. Now you move your focus to the questions that will take some more time to do and more thought, but you still keep it within the mark a minute rule. And finally, once you've answered the majority of the paper, now is when I'd spend my time focusing on the difficult questions towards the end of the paper. My recommendation is to leave some time at the end to go through the paper from the start to make sure you haven't missed any questions or made any silly mistakes. The biggest mistake people make when it comes to maths is they spend too long on one question that might only be worth 3 marks when they could have been carrying on with the paper and earning a lot more marks with that time. So if you find that a question takes you out of the mark a minute rule, move on and come back to that question at the end of the paper if you have the time. If you found this video useful, drop it a cheeky like and I'll see you in the next one.